A guy pulled into my shop last month with a 2016 Silverado, 5.3 liter, 94,000 miles, and a tapping noise coming from the passenger side of the engine. I knew what it was before I even popped the hood, a AFM lifter failure. I told him the repair was going to run him somewhere between $3,000 and $5,000 depending on how much metal made it into the camshaft. He asked me one question: could he have prevented this for $170? The honest answer is complicated, and today I am going to give it to you straight, because most of what you will find online about this device is either sales copy or panic. Let's get into what it actually does. Active fuel management showed up on the 5.3 liter Vortec V8 back in 2007, and General Motors put it in nearly every V8 truck and SUV they built for the next decade and a half. The idea sounds smart on paper. Under light load, cruising on the highway, coasting downhill, the system collapses the lifters on 4 of the 8 cylinders, shuts off fuel and spark to them, and runs the engine as a V4 to save gas. When you press the throttle, it switches back to all 8 cylinders in a fraction of a second. GM needed this to hit fleet fuel economy targets, and on paper, it works. In the real world, it has become one of the most common causes of catastrophic engine failure I see walk through my door on these trucks. Here is the mechanical problem, and I want you to actually understand this instead of just hearing the word lifter and nodding along. The active fuel management lifters use a locking pin design. In 8-cylinder mode, that pin locks the lifter so it operates normally, pushing the push rod, opening the valve, everything working the way an engine is supposed to work. When the system switches a cylinder off, a solenoid in the valley of the engine, called the VLOM, redirects oil pressure to that lifter, and the locking pin releases. The lifter collapses on itself, the valve stays shut, no fuel or spark gets sent to that cylinder. Every time this switch happens, that pin and the oil pressure system supporting it takes wear. Do this thousands of times over the life of the engine, especially with any inconsistency in oil pressure or oil quality, and eventually a pin sticks or breaks, or the lifter itself fails to relock properly. When that happens, the lifter can collapse permanently or come apart entirely, and the pieces travel through the oiling system and into contact with the camshaft. Once metal is riding against the cam lobes, you are not looking at a lifter replacement anymore. You are looking at a camshaft, most of the valvetrain, and sometimes bearings, which is how a $1,200 lifter job turns into an $8,000 engine rebuild. I have pulled valve covers on more of these trucks than I can count, and the pattern is almost always the same. Passenger side, 1 or 2 cylinders, metal shavings caught in the oil pickup screen, and an owner who did everything right on maintenance and still got hit with this bill. That is the part that makes people angry, and honestly, it should. This is not a neglect problem in most of the cases I see. It is a design problem that General Motors built into millions of trucks to satisfy an EPA test cycle. So now we get to the device. The AFM disabler is a small plug-in unit, usually about the size of a deck of cards, that connects into your OBD2 port under the dashboard. It does not touch your ECU, does not reflash anything, does not leave a permanent modification on the vehicle. What it actually does is intercept the specific signal that tells the engine to switch into 4-cylinder mode, and it blocks that signal from ever reaching the valvetrain. The result is your engine stays in 8-cylinder mode 100% of the time, every drive, every trip. No switching, no lifter collapse cycle, no locking pin ever disengaging. Since the pin never releases, it never wears from that specific stress, And that is the entire mechanism behind why this thing works. It is not fixing your engine, it is preventing the specific action that damages it in the first place. Installation takes about 30 seconds. You plug it into the OBD2 port, which is usually under the steering column. The truck recognizes it, and from that point forward, the AFM system simply never activates. If you ever need to take the truck to a dealer for warranty work, you unplug it, drive in clean, and plug it back in when you leave. Nothing about the ECU shows a modification because nothing was ever modified. That is the real advantage this has over a performance tune that reflashes the computer to disable AFM permanently. A tune leaves a footprint, a plug-in disabler does not. Now, here is where I need to slow down because this is the part almost nobody selling these things wants to talk about, and it is the part that actually matters if you are deciding whether to spend the $170. This device does nothing for an engine that already has lifter damage. I want to say that as plainly as I can. If you already have a tick, a misfire code, metal in your oil, or a check engine light related to cylinder performance, plugging in a disabler will not undo any of that. The damage that has already happened stays exactly as it is. What this device does is stop future wear from the active fuel management cycling mechanism. It is preventative, not corrective. I have had customers plug one of these in after already having a lifter go bad, thinking it was going to fix the problem. It does not work that way. If your engine is already ticking, you need an actual repair, and the disabler becomes relevant again only after that repair is done to prevent it from happening a second time. Second thing you need to understand, this device does not eliminate risk. It reduces the specific mechanical stress that AFM cycling puts on the lifters. But lifter failures on these engines can also happen from other contributing factors. Low oil pressure from a weakening oil pump around the 100,000 mile mark, oil pickup screens getting clogged with debris, oil quality and change intervals, and simple manufacturing variants in individual lifters. I've seen trucks with a disabler installed for over 60,000 miles that never had an issue, and I have also seen at least one case where a lifter failed anyway despite the truck running the disabler the entire time it was owned. That does not mean the device did not work. It means the device addresses one major cause out of several possible causes, and it is not a guarantee. Third thing, disabling active fuel management will change your fuel economy, and you should go into this with the right expectation. Most owners report losing somewhere between 0 and 3 miles per gallon, mostly noticeable on steady highway cruising where the engine used to spend a lot of time in 4-cylinder mode. In city driving or while towing, a lot of owners actually report no change or slightly better performance, because the active fuel management system was rarely engaging in that kind of driving anyway, and the transition lag between modes goes away. If gas mileage is the single most important factor for you, that is a real trade-off you are making. If engine longevity is the priority, most owners I talk to consider a couple miles per gallon a small price for avoiding a 5-figure repair. Fourth, and this is important if your truck is still under any kind of powertrain warranty, since the disabler does not modify the electronic control unit and is fully reversible, it generally does not void your warranty the way a permanent tune would as long as you unplug it before any dealer service visit. But you should not assume this blanket protects you. If a dealer technician finds it plugged in during a warranty claim specifically related to active fuel management components, that can complicate the claim. So the safest practice is what I already mentioned. Pull it before service, plug it back in after. For the price, $170 puts you in the middle of the range for these devices. Some go as low as $50 for a bare bones unit. Some go up toward $300 for ones with adjustable settings or additional diagnostics. At that price point, you are typically getting a reputable plug-and-play unit with wide compatibility across the 5.3-liter and 6.2-liter General Motors engines from roughly 2007 through 2018, though most of these units are not compatible with the newer 10-speed transmission trucks from 2019 and later, so check your specific model before buying one. Compare that $170 against a lifter failure repair running $3,000 to $5,000 at an independent shop, or against a full active fuel management delete kit with new lifters and a solid camshaft, which typically starts around $500 for parts alone and climbs from there with labor. Against either of those numbers, the disabler is cheap insurance. It is just not a guarantee, and it is not a repair. It is a preventative measure that removes one major stress factor from an engine that General Motors built with a known weak point. If you own one of these trucks and the engine is currently healthy, no ticking, no misfire codes, clean oil, this is one of the more reasonable $170 bills you can spend on preventative maintenance for a vehicle in this class. If your engine already has symptoms, save your money for the actual repair first. And regardless of whether you install one of these or not, stay on top of your oil changes and pay attention to any oil pressure warnings, because those are still the things doing the most work to keep this engine alive long term. If you want to see exactly what a failed active fuel management lifter looks like once metal gets into the camshaft, and what the real repair process looks like from a shop side, I have a full teardown video on that. It is right here. Like this, if it helped you understand what you are actually buying before you buy it, subscribe for more honest breakdowns of what these aftermarket parts actually do, and I will see you in the next one. Drive safe, take care of your truck, and it will take care of you.